I've got all the letters. We're ready to go for our next episode of Sweet and Sour. I've just met all of our panellists. Beautiful ladies. You've met most of them before. One newbie. She's lovely too. All very clever. And these are the letters that they'll be addressing tonight. First letter tonight. I don't do professional charities anymore. Did that come out right? I hope it did. Why not? Because professional charities don't give all the money to the people who need it. Second letter tonight. Coming all the way from Amsterdam. A chap, an expat, writes to tell us that the perspective that Australians have of themselves isn't necessarily reflected that way in Europe. And the last letter tonight, a chap who's been married for 25 years, now 70, he has to start again because they've just said goodbye. Let's see what the panellists have got to say when they come in. Sweet and Sour starting right now.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on there, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
How's about some chili?
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
We're chatting already. Even here it's still going. Righto, settle down. We're on. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Lovely to have your company. Gary, Mitchell and the girls here tonight. And we're ready for a chat-filled half-hour episode. Most of them you know. We've got one newbie sitting down the end. We'll meet her in a moment. Hello, Chloe.
Hi.
How's your fitness level?
I haven't checked it lately, but I'm hoping it's still up there. Last time I had a check,
you look pretty
25.
fit. Have you got any new ink
Yes,
to show?
I do. I actually had a cover-up done recently, so I had a really bad job done, it's a bit flaky at the moment. They probably can't see. But yeah, I had it covered up recently.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a bit shit.
What part of your body is not touched?
My back.
Oh,
But other bits have
interesting.
got something on it, but I don't want to be fully covered. But
Welcome, Nat.
Hi, Gary.
How many tats have you got?
One.
Have you?
It's in Greek.
It's in Greek. What does it say?
Angelos.
What does that mean?
Angels.
Oh, I knew what that meant.
Oh, yeah,
I knew it. Welcome. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Gary.
What are you drawing?
Oh, just doodling.
You do. What is this?
This is a
I love that.
Have a look at this.
We all have tea.
Can we get a close up of that?
this is a tea bag teapot, and so I drank every one of these tea bags, and I've covered it in latex. It was one of my uni assignments.
That's
So it feels
what students are studying in the art department.
No, they're not. That's my own idea, Gary.
Very creative. Christine, for the first time, welcome to Sweet and Sour.
Yay!
Lovely to have you. Native of Toronto.
Toronto, Canada.
How come you came to Perth?
I followed my boyfriend at the time, who's now my amazing husband, and we had the 3-year plan that's, turned into 22 years of living in Perth.
Was the 3-year plan to reverse and go back to Toronto and live? And it never happened?
No.
He tricked you?
Too much sun, beach.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. I love it too. Welcome to the panel for the first time.
Thank you for having me.
Here we go, letter number 1. Alex, you're on notice, you're first. Sweet and Sour panellists. I don't want to do professional charities anymore. I've had enough of this culture that creates huge organisational structures that need and swallow up enormous amounts of the very limited funds raised before any of it gets to do any good in the community. It's not to say that I've stopped being charitable, quite the reverse. Not only do I happily dole out my own funds to those I see directly in need, but I also volunteer in 2 areas that hands-on deals with people in need. I'm writing to ask all of you to consider taking time to identify areas of need in your community where people require your help, and then volunteer with whatever amount of time and money that you can spare. Oh, easily said. There is no way we will ever overcome the problems of the growing needy in our society by thinking we can give to big organisations because most of your dollars go to wages and administration. We've created enormous problems by shifting responsibility for the care of the less fortunate to big impersonal organisations. And it's a very easy statistic to verify from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. The rates of volunteerism in Australia have declined overall from almost 50% of adults to less than 7%. Why have we become such a non-caring, non-involved nation? Please get back to caring. Judy of Cannington in WA. Alex, how much volunteerism do you do?
I don't volunteer, but I've donated a lot of my artwork to charities, and it gets to a point where to do a piece of art takes a long time, and it costs me money and my time, and then to donate constantly is like, what's the point? I mean, I'm helping a charity, but it doesn't help me, and I'm a starving artist.
But that's not the point of it. But you need more help. Is that what you're saying?
But the thing is,
charity begins at home. You've got to look after yourself
But it
first.
starts it gets beyond a joke when people keep saying, "Oh, you're an artist. Can you donate some of your artwork?" It's like, well, no, not really. I've donated 7 already. And it's like, when you think about all the time you've put in your artwork, it doesn't become. It's not a charity anymore because you're getting taken
Not from your
advantage of.
perspective.
And it's like, but I mean, if I see someone sitting that's in need, I'll give them money rather than those charity on TV. Like, while I'm studying, I've noticed that at home during the day, TV is saturated with little Ubu in South Africa is dying from no food. And then the music is all, and it's like so heartbreaking, but you think that money doesn't go, you know that the money's not
Christine, do you do any volunteerism? Have you got any time, which is the biggest problem,
Well, as a parent, as a mom of 3 kids, I actually consider the fact that I do a lot. I do a lot of volunteering at school, through sports, and I just think this is actually a gender issue.
Gender issue?
It's a gender issue.
How so?
Because I really think that volunteerism is something that's been dominated by women over time, historically, and we're all working now. We're all working.
So that's where the vacuum has been created.
So. Absolutely.
The women have gone to work because they've had to. Time's gone.
Yep.
Ooh.
And nobody has any time.
Chloe?
Well, I reckon it's because the big organisations have just got a really bad reputation. Like, for me growing up, I always knew that, I was always told that these bigger organisations never gave the money out. So from then I was just like, well, who do you trust and what do you do? You know what I mean?
It's a bad rap, but it's probably not true.
Well, I don't know.
In the majority.
Well, I just don't know. I've only judging on what I've been told, and I just feel like they've always had really bad things said about them. Like, they're not really the money that you donate never really goes there, and it's like, do you know what I mean? It's just hard to trust them when.
So do you give outside of giving to big organisations?
I mean, like, no.
Okay.
I don't.
You don't. No charity. Paul Fitness, no charity.
You know what? No.
Who's got money
Nat?
these days?
That's a good point.
Who's got money?
Who's got money to give nowadays? It's getting tough for everybody.
Yes, but it's not just money that you can give. You can donate your time, which I've done on a number of occasions. Cooking for the poor. What are you doing on Christmas Day? Well, if you're tired of cooking for everyone, go cook for 100 people in a park that don't have anyone else cooking for them. I've done that. I am an ambassador for Side Effect, which is an important charity.
Side Effect?
Yes.
Okay, and what does it do? What does Side Effect do?
So Side Effect is an education for our youth on the troubles with substances. It's opening a dialogue about it, and it's a really
Very important.
really ballsy move.
And poignant right now.
Yeah, particularly with the deaths and you need to look at our attitude towards it. So I'm an ambassador for that. That's a charitable work. I come from a family of charitable people. My parents did the first charity home in Australia.
Did they really?
They did. They started that. And that was back in 1979, and Mum raised a substantial amount, the largest amount of money raised for Rocky Bay.
Fantastic.
At the time, a lot of money. So, but there's another issue. There's chuggers. Chuggers, different charity muggers. You know, when you're shopping and la 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 la, and someone's just like, do you know that the first 12 months of that can often just go to the people who are doing the chugging, and then after that, that's when the money kicks in for the actual organisation. That happens.
Yeah, that's what
So
I've
you've got to be really diligent about looking at where you give and who accesses money from you.
We asked you people at home to answer this question for us. Do you volunteer your time in any way to help those in need? Let's have a look what you said. There you go.
Yes.
68% said yes, 32% said no. 68%.
That's real.
Do I think that's real? I think people need to define how they help those people in need, how they define those people in need. When we get back, we're talking about the perspective that the Europeans have on Australia and Aussies. How are we viewed overseas? When we come back, more of Sweet's Out. Don't go away. How you doing, darling?
It's time for Sweet
I was going to say, or are they upping?
I live on 2.30 a week. but
Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. If you'd like to send us a letter, send it to one of the addresses that's appearing on your screen in about, there it is right now. And if you do send a letter in and we like it, we're going to send you happily to the movies to see something courtesy of Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. And this week we're sending you to Wonder Park. How do you know I couldn't read it? And I couldn't remember it either. Here we go. Dear Mitch and guests, I'm emailing you from Amsterdam, where I've lived for the past 2 years. Do any Australians realise how we Aussies are currently being viewed by the world? Frankly, there's not much news coverage of anything that happens in Australia at all. Occasionally some kangaroo or far north crocodile footage, but zero news. Chatting with my work colleagues here, who reflect the general attitudes of those all over Europe, what they understand of Australia now is this, that in the last 10 years we've turned our back on refugees and boat people. Indian and Chinese visitors are murdered. Yeah, that's sensational. So that would be over there. That would be in the media, wouldn't it? That we are huge supporters of the USA Trump administration, and that the shooter in the Christchurch massacre was born, bred and nurtured in Australia. Our report card is not good. Our reputation as the fun-loving, easygoing lovers of sun and surf is now, unfortunately, something of a self-delusion. When I told my father over FaceTime, he said we sound like we're getting the same rap that the white Rhodesians and white South Africans were getting from the rest of the world in the 1970s and 80s, and he also suggested that I email you. Panellists, are you happy with that reputation? Do you choose to believe it, or do you prefer to live in denial? Can we overcome this view, or is it going to get worse? And it comes to us, as we said, from Brandon in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, and Nat, straight to you. Do you do any travelling?
Yeah, in fact, I was just in Europe.
And?
I didn't find it all the same experience, so I guess it's just a glass half full, glass half empty kind of situation, and I refuse to believe that the sample of people sitting around a lunchroom in Amsterdam represents the entire world and what they think of us. So, sorry.
Natalie chooses
No.
not to believe it. But the question is, I mean, are any of these things true? Where Trump supporters, Indian,
No.
Chinese visitors have been murdered?
I'm quite confident I know a lot of people that aren't Trump supporters.
Well, me too.
And
Me too.
what
But
does
this
he
is-
have to do
this
with
is-
Australian? What's that have
This
to
is
do
the
with Australian
view
way of life?
because of our
This is
politics.
the view of a bunch of people sitting around a table in Amsterdam.
So
do you
you-
know how many countries there are in this
I
world?
do. So you
Yeah,
won't.
quite a number of
so
them.
you
and I
won't
refuse
believe
to
that
believe
this is
a
a
sample
view?
of this small little Brandon's mates is anything, any kind of reflection on us as Australians.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Chloe.
And can I just clarify?
Oh, we're very
Are they-
defensive tonight, aren't we? We're all in defensive.
Are they getting their
Ridiculous.
facts from the news?
Well, have a look.
Right?
Have a look. He's given us just a few.
Okay, all right.
Indian and Chinese visitors murdered. True or not true?
Well, it's all bloody.
It's true,
the
isn't it?
media, right?
Hang on.
It is true. It's true.
Hang on, just
Listen,
because they're doing it doesn't
it's
mean to say
true.
it's, that's little Johnny's defence. He's doing it too.
It's no,
That's
but
little
it's
Johnny's
the
defence
media.
at school.
It's the media, right? And they're only going to.
And an Israeli that was
was an
murdered
Israeli,
here as
that's
well.
what I'm saying. I'm saying it's something
Our
like
administration are huge supporters of Trump policy.
How general is that? That's so general.
Enough about
Plus,
Trump
they're
already.
getting their facts
Doesn't
from
he
the
get enough
media,
airtime?
which is always negative.
Well, so do we.
Yeah, right, but that's why you don't watch it, because it's all
Okay,
shit.
in the last 10 years, have we turned our back on refugees and boat people?
Yeah, and I'll tell you
Well,
what, I
hang
don't
on,
agree
these are-
with... I
these
don't-
are all facts.
Yeah, these are facts, right? I don't get...
Turned our backs
It's not
how?
reasons behind
right,
it.
but there's a lot
How are we
more to
responsible for
us than the
everyone?
negativity that people hear on the media.
But we know that.
Yeah, but
we
let's
know
also
that.
We
talk
know
about
that.
But how do you get that view out?
Well, you don't, because it's
the last
impossible.
thing it says down here from
can't.
Brandon is how do we overcome
Well,
this
you
view?
don't. You don't
or is
care.
it going to get worse?
It's not our responsibility to make sure that our reputation is untarnished when the media, all it does is talk about all the negative
Whose
things.
responsibility
and
is
it's not just us that
The
they
media
talk.
as well looks of things.
It's the media. You know what I mean? And that's what they always do, whether it's us, another nation, they're all going to talk.
Good chat.
bad
Christine,
stuff.
How does the world view us?
I'm going to open a can of worms here on this one.
I'll get you your can
Okay.
opener.
I'm going to focus on the last part about his reference to white South Africans. So I'm going to say that Australia, there's an elitist culture here. Okay, I'm Australian too, it's all good. Okay, public-private divide here is out of control. So public schools, private schools.
Yeah.
You know, why do private school children get allocated more government dollars than public school children? That is perpetuating the idea that unless you go to private school, you're just not in the elite. You're not in this social status.
and if you've
The
got a
thing that
parent
we
that
got
pays
asked,
money to get them in there.
what school are you sending your children to?
What
So
about
I
in
can
America?
just assess. It's ridiculous. It's the same with the healthcare, public, private. Right? Canada, same kind of country, same government system. None of this crap. It's ridiculous. Why do I need to spend $30,000 to send my kid to Scotch College? Sorry, and if he wants to have some
Or
sport
any private school for that
in
matter.
school.
Yeah.
Why? It's ridiculous. So he's right. I agree. That's not denial. We are living in an elitist, and this is Australia-wide.
Yeah, but
It's absolutely.
But it's something it's just something that you just can't overcome on your own.
Really?
Not so sure.
It's not only
We've
Australia,
got
it's
it.
all over the world.
Come on, Al. Last word.
It's not only Australia,
I
it's
don't
all
see
over
why
the
Australia's
world.
being singled out.
And
in
it's
this.
like, no matter what.
But we don't care about anybody else's reputation.
Well,
we care about our own.
Well, I think Brandon's got an ex-girlfriend who's Australian. And
He's
just-
Australian. He lives in Australia. He is an Australian.
Duh.
He's an expat.
I'm saying he's got an girlfriend who's Australian. He's living over in Amsterdam and he's got a girlfriend who's Australian, ex-girlfriend. So he's just pissed off with Australia and he wants to rub them all down. And I think he's been smoking too much of that, you know.
That's what he's been doing. Oh my God, you're on
And he's because
That's what he's
you
been
know
doing.
what, Brandon?
That doesn't help,
You know
mate.
what,
Listen to
Brandon?
him, he's high.
There's bad
That
people
works for me.
all over the world.
Case
It's
closed.
not only Australia.
Case closed,
People
yeah.
get killed all over the world. Not only Australia. Australians get killed while they're in another country.
Brandon?
So
Happens
there,
all the
you
time.
can't just say
I
it's
think you might be
Australia.
right, mate. And there's your case for denial. And we asked you people at home, do you think Australia is viewed in a positive light throughout the world?
Yes.
Right?
I
There we
think
go.
they are.
71%
71, they
said
are.
yes, but of course,
Every
that's
time I travel, they
but
love
that's a home perspective.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
And
It's not.
we asked Australians, nobody else overseas,
Oh, well, it doesn't
and
matter.
29% of you said no. What a terrific topic we've
saying
just
But you know
done.
what, Gary? That they would see that.
When we come back, we're talking about trophy wives. Don't go away. More of Sweet and Sour.
When I travel,
Good chat.
always, every country I've been to, they always say they love Australians. It's
Me
my
too.
own
Yes,
experience where
absolutely
I
they
think,
do.
oh, I love Australia.
And that was
It's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
And she was, well, I'll tell you about her afterwards. Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. Last letter of the night. Hello, Sweet and Sour. My brother married his trophy wife over 25 years ago.
Offended already.
He was 45 back then and she was 22. They have 3 terrific children. They had to go through a lot with people judging them. They said they were in love at the time, but as I saw it, they were just hot for each other. It faded, but they worked at it and drove each other spare for over 20 years. She had affairs that he knew about. He would go on holidays without her, and in the end, they were leading separate lives. They called it quits 5 months ago. They wasted each other's lives except for producing the 3 kids, and that's why they held on for so long. She's already moved on. She was young enough to. My brother is just struggling. He's too old to start again, and at 70, he's not employable. He's seriously miserable. I need to do something for him, but I just don't know how to kickstart his life. The biggest issue is that the kids are still living off him, as all are studying, and he has almost exhausted his savings. His wife is off with her new boyfriend. What needs to be said or done here, please? He really is a good man in great need. My daughter is now seeing a man 21 years older too. How do I stop it immediately, please? Writes Kay of Mont Albert North in Victoria. We're going straight to Christine. Which issue do you want to address first here?
Well, Kay, I think maybe you need to just not do anything. I mean, leave them alone.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and as for the whole relationship, shouldn't more people get together because they're hot for each other? I mean, what a great idea. And this has got nothing to do with age whatsoever, right? Relationships fall off for all kinds of reasons. Maybe he just wasn't keeping himself very well. Maybe she had a really good reason to leave him. So a couple of things: stop the bleed with the kids. That's the first thing. That sounds like they're university age, right?
That's the thing that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. And you can't drag your brother. He's got to figure it out. He's got to move on or just keep wallowing, and you can always start.
She's moved on, the ex has moved on, and the kids are still sitting there.
But this is about Kay. Kay, you just need to leave it be maybe and find
Alex,
something else to focus
come on.
I really like how Kay said they've wasted each other's lives except for producing the 3 kids.
Yeah. Which is this much.
Yeah, I mean, like, he knew what he was doing when he started going out with it. Sounds like my ex-boyfriend over in Cairns. He didn't marry her. He's with a girl who, well, he's not with her anymore. She's 25 years younger than him, and they've got a little 5-year-old now, but, you know, he just wants to have a younger woman to make himself look good. But then when they get older, the younger women don't want an old, wrinkly old man. They go and find someone closer to their age. So you make your bed, you lie in it.
That's it.
And why are you making it your problem,
Mind
Kay?
your own business, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we asked the 2 remaining ladies, we asked you people at home to answer this question for us. Is 70 too old to start life again? And here's what you said.
No.
24% said yes and 76% said no. So there you go. It's not.
No.
All right.
My dad got married this year.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
No, guess how old he is?
How?
74.
Oh, well, there you go.
Good for him.
Apparently not too, yes. Apparently, yeah. So I'm sorry, I have to disagree on that one. And, you know, this links a little bit to our first letter, where not enough people are doing charity, and you were saying that mostly women were charitable. There's a guy, and he's bored. Maybe he should go out and get active and do something charitable. What do you reckon? Might make him a little bit more employable.
Kill 2 birds with one
And
stone.
at the same time, he could probably, you know, tell his kids, right, you're on your own. Because, like, pretty much, there's a warning to my kids, after you're 18, on your own.
Chloe, last word.
There are so many reasons why men would date like younger women and women date older men, like psychological reasons, you know what I mean? I heard sometimes men will go for younger women because they are at a stage of them, like they never grew up, like they kind of like...
Peter Pan.
What's his name that was with Kourtney Kardashian? What's his name?
No idea.
Scott.
Doesn't matter.
Scott. He was stuck.
Who's Scott?
He's stuck
Scott
at
Disick.
20. Scott Disick. He's stuck at 25. He never grew up. He was with Kourtney for 10 years and never stopped partying and going out. And she put up with that. Had 3 kids with him, but he never kind of grew up. And now he's dating Lionel Richie's daughter, who's like 20.
How old is he?
20. He's 36. She's 20. But they reckon it's because he's stuck at the age of 25 and just won't grow up. He's got that Peter Pan syndrome, but he reckons if he date, like they reckon they date like a 21-year-old, they can get away with it.
Say good night.
Good night.
Nat, good night. Good night. Good night, Ivan. Good night. Good night, Trudy. Did you say good night already?
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
Christine.
21 years younger.
Good night.
Trudy's husband is 21
years younger.
Good for you, Trudy. That's sensational. Christine, terrific to have you.
No, this is so much
Will you come
fun.
back and
Thank
join
you.
us?
I would love to.
You had a good enough time
I'd love
tonight?
to, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank all of our wonderful panellists. Thank our terrific crew, and thanks for having us at home tonight, Australia. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. That's it. Good night, folks. Well, that was a good chat till 9.